Today I'm going to be unboxing the Goblin Fireball. Pretty cool machine. So I'm going to open the box, I'm going to go over the box contents, and I'm also going to talk a little bit about some features that I didn't talk very much about during my introduction video to the Fireball. And then I'm going to go over some important tips to keep in mind when building your machine and flying it and maintaining it and so forth. So here's the kit. So as we open the box here, we have the manual. This is a really nice and neat manual. It's full color as always from SAB. It's got some pretty interesting instructions step by step. You do need to follow this. Then we have the registration. This is also very important. A lot of people take the registration for granted, but it's very important that you guys register your Goblin. A lot of people don't register them, and then if they end up having some kind of issue or a problem, then they can get the support they need from SAB. So please go ahead and register your Goblin. This is very important. You got a sticker set here, and you got another sticker set here. And those obviously go on your canopy and your boom. And then canopy and boom, as you guys know already, is made out of plastic. The frame's already inside the canopy. Obviously they need to be taken apart and put together, of course, again. But pretty strong canopy, very strong boom. They're really nice. Next up, landing gear. Really strong too, flexible, which makes it very strong, practically indestructible. And then we got blade holder right here. We got some other goodies, the blades, tail push rod right here, and then we have a box here with all the electronics. This box has your servos, it has your ESC, it has your motor. Let's take a quick peek in there. So we got the ESC manual, we got the servos, the 3 cyclic and the tail servo, and then we have our motor, our ESC right there, and then we have our motor. So if you guys watched the introduction video I did to the Fireball, you probably already know about the innovative Powertrain design, which is a pretty cool feature of this machine as well. Makes it very simple, very low parts count. Then in this box you have all your little parts, and they're all nicely bagged with labels describing the bag numbers. For all of you guys that have built the Goblin, this builds the same way. You follow your instructions, and basically every page or every section within your instructions tell you what bag to open, what bag you're going to use for this particular step. For all of you guys not familiar, you will enjoy it because it's a super great build. You basically follow the instructions to the T, and absolutely no issues as far as not understanding a certain step and things of that nature. One thing that's important to mention that I didn't mention again in my introduction video, this helicopter has a 5mm main shaft, which is pretty strong considering its small size. It's a 4mm spindle, but it's a solid spindle. It's not a hollow spindle, so again, very strong. Main frame is very rigid. Even though it's plastic and is very inexpensive, it's yet very strong and very rigid. And the landing gear, as you saw, it's super strong and it's flexible, which makes it even stronger. Another thing is the simplicity of this helicopter. You know, as you guys know, Goblin has always been known for being a simple machine, and this is no exception. In fact, I think this is one of the simplest Goblins that there's out there. Very few parts count. All the bolts that are within the helicopter are very easy to reach. They're very easy to gain access to. For example, the blade grips have a plastic arm that is sacrificial. So even though the blade grips are aluminum, the blade grip arm is sacrificial and it's plastic. So if it breaks, it's super inexpensive, very easy to replace. The entire head group can be assembled and disassembled with just 2 bolts. That's all it takes for the entire head, main head group. And then the mechanical joint between the motor and the main shaft is super simple too. It's unbelievable. Very low parts count. Canopy and Boom, very cheap. They're very strong, as you can see here, but they're also very cheap. So if you break them, you can replace them for very, very little money. Okay, now I want to give you a few tips about this helicopter. Okay, so here's the completed Fireball. This is my personal machine right here. So one thing that's important to keep in mind here is this machine does not have a anti-static kit. And this is because this is a pre-production machine, so it didn't come with it. But it is important that you install this kit. Inside the manual, when you receive your kit, you're going to find a little pamphlet or a little insert in here that describes the anti-static Fireball kit. And it is very important that you install this kit, especially if you live in an area with very low humidity. Because as you guys know, the lower the humidity, the higher the chances for electrostatic discharge. Now, you guys might be asking yourselves, well, why don't I need to do this on other Goblins? Well, the answer is simple. Most Goblins, even though are tail belt driven, they have carbon fiber frames. So even though there's a chance for electrostatic discharge, the chance is not as great as if you had plastic frames. So for all of you guys familiar with electrostatic discharge in the RC hobby, of course, in helicopters, most of the helicopters that have a tail belt and that have plastic frames can see this phenomenon, and it actually happens very often, and it can cost you to crash because it can cause your flight control system to lose control. So it is important that you install this electrostatic kit, especially on some flybarless units. We found that, for example, the V-Bar Neo is very susceptible to electrostatic discharge, and you do not want to see this happen because once it's been subjected to this electrostatic shock, it actually can damage the actual unit itself. So make sure that you follow instructions in this little pamphlet and you install your anti-static kit. Another thing is you can use WD-40 on the tail belt, or they sell anti-static sprays that you can spray in your tail belt. That also helps. Again, if you live in a dry area, it's even more critical that you install this electrostatic kit and that you follow the instructions to make sure that it is installed. Other than that, a couple other tips. And I will be showing these later on a build video, but as you install the tail belt on your kit, as you can see here, make sure that the tail belt is riding right down the middle of your pulley. You really don't want to be pulling on one of the either sides. One of these sides is glued, and even though the glue is very strong, you still don't want to be tugging on that. The other thing could be that perhaps because of tolerance issues, your Fireball might have a little bit of play or slop, I guess you could say, between the connection and the boom and the frame. Right about there, as you tighten that connection, you might end up with a little bit of play or a little bit of slop. If that's the case, super simple fix. Just simply put a little bit of tape around the boom, just to kind of make it a little snug, a little tighter. Play or slop is not going to cause a problem, but you really don't want that. And everyone that I've seen so far is really, really good, but I'm just thinking about the fact that, you know, when you deal with plastic, there's very minute tolerance differences, so kind of keep that in mind. I think that's all I got for now as far as the information about some tips and tricks. Again, about electrostatic. We've seen this phenomenon predominantly when you mount the flight control system in this position right here. If you have a flight control system, for example, that mounts here, but you're using, say, for example, Spectrum satellites, you can put the satellite in the front, you can put the satellite underneath. It doesn't seem to be much of an issue. We haven't really done much testing with that. But when you mount it here, and particularly with some of them, like again the V-Bar Neo, you might be having an issue if you don't run the electrostatic kit. However, if you do install it and you install it properly, you should have absolutely no problems. So I think that's all I have for today. Unboxing the Fireball, talking a little bit about it, and discussing some little tips and pointers about the machine itself. So I hope you enjoyed it.